seems to be another morning. I've been hard at work yesterday, doing stuff here in the bus. Got the electrical distribution cabinet here built out a little bit more. Was able to get the power inverter control panel mounted, and got a backup power supply here mounted. Some shelves on the side. Haven't quite decided what I'm doing with these shelves yet. I might be putting some network hardware or something in there with a cover, but they seem a little more handy for just holding stuff. But anyways, got a little backer on there. Lots of fun stuff. In the process though, I managed to get a metal sliver in my finger. Now, I've moved so many times in the last year that I don't know where most of my stuff is. So what do you do when you get a sliver and you don't know where any tweezers are? Duh. You go on Amazon and order some stuff. So I think about 9 p.m. last night, I ordered a set of manicure tweezers with a carrying case. So let's see what we got. Yeah, there's a great camera angle. We're trying the GoPro again today. I've been having a heck of a time with this thing in the audio, but we'll see how it works. This was the fanciest set of them I could find for like $6. And there we go, little carrying case and 4 assorted sizes. There we go. See, they all go in a little case there and fold up. Yeah, little metal sliver right there. Might need an X-Acto knife. It's not coming out of there. Yeah, that's like broken off down inside there. You probably can't see it, but there's one nice thing about not having sensation in your fingers is you can just carve up with an X-Acto knife and it's no problem. Yeah, this is a handy little set though to have for the future. Cool. Okay, trying to decide here. It's somewhat overcast today, not supposed to rain at all. I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go return some stuff. I got a couple things from Amazon that I didn't need, so those are going back. And then, I know there's something else that I'm not thinking of. I'll have to check my assorted lists. But anyways, I think we'll go take care of that right now. So fire up the van and see if it still runs. Someone sent me a message earlier and was inquiring about the style of connectors that the ICS modules use. And I wound up going down the rabbit hole again. I was able to actually source the connectors for the ICS bus, which is actually an LIN network, or local interconnect network. It's serial data, but this is a fairly old setup here, and I happen to have it down in the luggage, one of the luggage bays in the bus. But I was able to pull up some of the numbers on one of these connectors and actually look it up on DigiKey. And here we go. This is the connector here. It's the Dynamic D3100 series. I did notice that the keying on this photo seems to be backwards, but I have also noticed that sometimes on DigiKey, the photos are not quite right. But that's the connector. So it does exist and you can buy it. As far as the RNet connectors go, though, they're pretty highly proprietary. And I've actually called DigiKey and Mouser and a few other companies in the past trying to, I'm talking about these little yellow ones here, trying to figure out what these are, and no one knows. So I figured I would take apart a few modules and look. So I took apart this, you can see it there on the end, it's that L-shaped Tetris thing right here. I took that apart and I figured maybe I could look at the PCB in there and maybe get some information off the connectors. This one didn't really have too much useful info. It turns out the circuit board inside there is built by a company called HMC International, which when I do searching, it seems to be a music company, or they do hardware music authoring stuff. Anyways, next time I'm at the warehouse, I'm going to pull apart a bunch of older stuff and see if we can find anything printed in some of those modules. Because these connectors, these RNet connectors have to exist somewhere, and I have to be able to buy them. I'm sure it's probably one of those things similar to how Apple locks down some of their chips and parts and stuff, and they tell the manufacturer, you're not allowed to sell this anywhere. Well, except to us. I'm just speculating, but I don't know. There's enough wheelchairs around now and enough people using wheelchairs that I feel like we should be able to at least find some knockoffs for sale sometime soon, or sometime, or maybe just another source from China. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I'm gonna put this away, then we're gonna go drop off the Amazon returns. I keep getting sidetracked. So I use Home Assistant to control most of the stuff here in the bus, but I figured out a way to have these NFC tags control things in here. Now, with the Home Assistant app on your phone, typically you can program a tag, but when it comes up, you have to tap on the screen to authorize it. Well, I found a workaround. Check it out. And the lights turn on. And they turn off. And then we can do other things, like turn on this fan behind me. There we go. Circulation fan is running. So, kind of cool. I don't know why, but ever since I discovered NFC, or near field communication, existed years ago, I kind of nerded out on it, and still am. Those cards aren't going to stay there. That's just kind of a temporary location. I've actually ordered a whole bunch of electrical parts. I'm going to be using this backsplash, I guess, on this desk here to mount some voltmeters so I can keep an eye on both of the battery banks down below. I've got 2 series together sets of parallel batteries, and I want to monitor both of them to make sure they don't get out of balance. So we're going to put some of those on there. Also probably a USB charger and a few other random control things just to monitor the batteries. But it's super nice having that panel actually mounted here now, so I can control the inverter and get data and stuff like that. Oh, ammeters. I was looking on Amazon trying to find DC ammeters, like the inductive Hall effect type, instead of using a shunt. Most of them I find only go up to 100 amps though. And we're pulling upwards of 275 amps from the batteries. So might have to find something else for that. But I would also like to keep an eye on what's going in and out of the batteries. Anyways, another sidetrack. Okay. We're getting in the van now, I promise. Oh, I suppose I should probably put this away down here. I was digging through crates trying to find this little bracket out of a chair. Ooh! My Ryobi arc lamp. Yeah. This is a 55 watt HID arc lamp. Really cool. Takes a while to warm up, but yeah, anyways. We'll file this back in here for now. Probably don't need the spotlight right now, but at least I know where it is. Whoops. Be a little bit closer. There we go. Hello, tractor. Well, it still runs. That's something. What do we got going on in here? Oh, I think this box... Yeah, this box is some stuff I needed to ship to someone. Well, I guess we'll worry about that later. And apparently I was drying an umbrella in here. I was never much of a fan of umbrellas just because, you know, this is Portland and you don't want to get caught carrying umbrellas around here, especially if you're a native. But now that I use a wheelchair, I kind of have an excuse. Okay, there's our 2 returns. Yeah, let's hit the road. Okay, well, we've arrived at the UPS store. I'm not quite sure why I thought this would be interesting to film, but anyways, I'm gonna go throw this stuff at them, and then, yeah, that's it. Okay, I think what I'm going to do now is fire up, backlit, there we go. I'm going to fire up the engine on this thing, and since everything's all bolted down in the kitchen in the back now, I want to see if we're getting any rattling or if there's anything else I need to adjust back there. The chassis on this thing does not flex at all. That was one of the things, because a couple of the boards I mounted to the ceiling, and then there's some other stuff mounted to the side walls and a center wall next to the bathroom. But the way this chassis is designed, the suspension is what takes up all the flex when you're on uneven roads. So the chassis itself shouldn't be moving at all. I looked at the drawings and stuff and how everything is cross-braced, and yeah, it's designed that way. So that was one thought in the back of my mind, is like when I'm driving, is it gonna rip some of the boards loose and whatnot back there? But anyways, we'll just fire it up and see what the rattling situation's like. And by the way, this thing has not been started in probably about a week or so. Our front area here has kind of been relegated to plant storage for the meanwhile. But hear that hissing? When this thing first fires up, there's, well, right after it starts building air pressure, you have to hit both of these buttons down here for the luggage bay locks. There we go. If you don't do that, those valves get kind of stuck in the middle and they leak. And then you won't build air pressure in the front accessory tanks. And just keeps the compressor running all the time. And here in the back, seems pretty good. A little bit of rattling on the luggage rack, but that was there before. That noise was just that box of screws. But yeah, I think everything seems good. By the way, this little bracket right here is simply to keep the crumb tray on the toaster oven from sliding out because it doesn't latch in there. So I just stuck a little strong tie there so we can hold that in place. But that's why I picked this particular kind of microwave instead of one with a handle on it, because you have to actually push the button to get the door open. And this thing has sort of a magnetic spring close on it, so it seems fine. Fridge is all tied down now. We've got the little brackets on the front here. And what these things do is interface with the feet on the front of the fridge. They kind of hook underneath them and keep it from sliding forward. Then, well, it's a little hard to see, but we've got a couple of ratchet straps going over the top of the whole thing. And then on the back, on the top, there are some other brackets that attach back to the wall. But yeah, everything seems to be pretty good back here. Sweet. Oh, I just thought, since we have this thing fired up, I'm gonna move it over a little bit so I can get to the battery bay on this side. This inverter, the battery charger that it has built in, I couldn't find any documentation. I tried chatting with the people that built the thing or sell it or whatever, and they can't tell me what the difference between the bulk charge voltage is and the float voltage, which is very important with these Odyssey batteries. If you charge them at too low a voltage, it severely shortens their service life. Last I could tell, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Yeah, you can't really. But I set it to 27.6. That's a good float voltage for these batteries. But what they told me is it's completely automatic and you can't change the float setting. So I think what's happening is you set your float voltage and then it charges as a higher voltage. But the documentation that it does have kind of alludes to it being the opposite. Now I'm going to get a bunch of voltage monitors and stuff installed, but in the meanwhile I just want to check on all that stuff down there and make sure everything's fine. But I am really curious to see. The batteries have been charging now for about 12 hours. This thing says 27.6, which would be a good float voltage, but I want to know what's actually going on down there. So anyways, we're going to let this thing warm up, air up, lift the airbags, and we're going to move it over probably 5 feet or something. Okay, I think we've got enough clearance on the other side now, so let's grab our voltmeter here and see what our current charging voltage is, which, by the way, is being powered by the grid. This inverter system is completely isolated from the chassis of the bus and also the alternator that it has, or the engine alternator, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, there we go, got an inverter. Oh yeah, I forgot I did all this wiring down here. It's our feed coming up and everything. All right, let's see what our voltage is. It was what, 27.6 on the inside? Yeah, it looks like we got 27.98, somewhere in there, which that is an acceptable float voltage. So I think what we're gonna do next, I'm going to disconnect this thing from the grid, then we're gonna use the batteries a little bit, cook something in the microwave for a few minutes to get the batteries drained down. Then we can come back over here with the voltmeter and see what our charging voltage is, because that's what I'm really curious to see. That's the important part. Well, actually, all of it's important, but yeah, anyways. I think one of the other projects I'm going to work on today as well is you can see that extension cord that goes in through the ventilation flap on the bathroom in the back there. I think what I'm going to do is relocate that, and I'm going to put a disconnect down inside here. This wheelchair lift bay is where the inverter and the batteries are, and our main power panel is right there on the inside. So I think I'm going to ditch that and then get a connection to where I can plug it in here. That way I can just open up this hatch, plug it in, and it makes it a lot easier. Right now, to unhook that, the cord's kind of like folded into that little flap, and it's kind of weird. So it makes it really difficult to try and move this thing, as you can see here. So I think I'm gonna start that. Maybe today is the next project. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But anyways, it's a freaking bus. Everything appears to be in order back here. I just figured I'd take a look and make sure nothing crazy is happening. Okay, I've run the batteries down just a little bit now, and what we're gonna do, well, it's still showing 25 volts, so they're not really that low, but I'm going to turn on the battery charger function here, and let's see what our voltage does. Okay, it clicked on. What? Why are we seeing 100-something volts? That's not okay. GoPro battery died. I don't understand what the heck's going on here. It says we're charging, but it's showing like 100-something volts going into the batteries. Wonder if it's some sort of sine wave or something. Put it on AC, it says 80-something volts. I don't think I like that at all. I don't know what the heck is going on here. I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, I changed a couple of settings on the inverter and now we're showing a more proper voltage, but it's charging it a lot lower than I want. So I'm gonna go in here and adjust the settings again and see what we get. Okay, we changed our charging voltage to 28.2. And showing 26.4. This is weird. So it's got a setting where you can adjust the amount of charging it can do. I had it set at 40% of the total amperage. When I did that, we were seeing like 100-something volts. But when I put it back down to 20%, now we're showing a proper voltage. So this is kind of confusing. Yeah, anytime I put it up to like 40%, the voltage jumps way up. So I guess we'll just leave it on 20% for now. Anyways, I'm gonna let this charge for a while, and then we will see what our float voltage goes to. Okay, I just checked my notes. Apparently I was running the math incorrectly before. We need 14.7 volts per battery to charge properly, which is 29.4 total with this array. So I changed the settings on it. The charger's set to 20% of its total power. I don't know why it jumps up over 100 volts when you put it at 40% or higher. Anyways, we're gonna leave it sit for a while and see what happens. The only thing I can think of is the charger's outputting some sort of sine wave that the voltmeter can't read properly. And looking at the 110 volt input side, I do notice that there's sort of a waveform to what it's pulling. I don't know. I don't like seeing that though. Okay, what we're seeing in here is 26.9. And it was right about 27 outside there. So I'll go ahead and agree with that. When it was showing 100-something though, this number wasn't changing. So anyways, I'm confused. And actually, we're gonna turn off the output here just so the charger can run on its own. And we'll just leave it like that for a while. Fast forward some amount of time later, this thing says the batteries are done charging. We've got 29.4. So let's go back outside and see what the batteries are actually sitting at right now. $29.8. Okay. I think I've come up with a solution for this. I think we're going to ditch the internal battery charger. I can just turn it off completely. And I'm going to buy a good proper charger. One that maybe has solar input as well. Well, I don't know. When I get the solar panels on, I will have a charge controller for those. But I think the best thing to do here is to get a proper battery charger so we don't destroy this array of batteries. This thing, I don't know what the deal is. It's incredibly strange to me when a company makes a product and they can't tell you how it works. And when you ask them straightforward questions, they don't answer you. I guess like everything else here, the solution is throwing more money at the problem. I do have a charger that's set up for the chassis batteries, but, well, it works good for the flooded lead acid batteries that are in there. They're not AGMs or anything like that. But I'm gonna have to get a good quality AGM compatible charger that is programmable, or one that is specifically designed to work with these Odysseys, because these are a little bit different. Normal AGM batteries, you can just kind of charge them however you want, but these things, everything's very specific. I'm gonna dump all this footage onto the computer and start editing, and then see if I'm gonna work on anything else. It's just before sunset here now, and well, I went ahead and moved some of our power feed stuff. Actually, let me show you. So the inverter and everything and all the batteries are way back in there on the other side. And just temporarily, until I get the shore power electrical system installed, I still need to have an extension cord to run a few things in here. So what I did was drill a hole down here, and I cut a hose to put around the sharp edges so it's not going to cut the cord. And this cord, always with the geese. But anyways, this cord runs over to the other side and interfaces with the electrical that is in here. The idea was I would get an extension cord that's long enough to come all the way from where it's plugged into the grid. It used to go up there, but unfortunately it's not long enough. So for right now, until it starts raining again, probably tomorrow or the next day, we've just got it plugged in right there. But for the time being, that will get the job done, and it'll be a lot easier for me to, well, I'm going to be getting a longer extension cord so I can run it all the way up and in here. Not just for here, but other places I may park as well. I think we're going to call that good for now, though. Gotten a bunch of stuff done inside, showed you a little bit of that. The thing with the inverter, though, and the battery charger is really frustrating. I think I'm just going to have to get another standalone charger for the battery banks, because this thing just puts out whatever voltage you set. It claims to be a 3-stage charger, but it's not. And then that whole thing with it putting out over 100 volts is a little bit disconcerting. Yeah. So I think for now, I'm just going to shut down the battery function in it, the battery charger function in it, and look for another charger or something like that. But anyways, thanks for hanging out. I will catch you guys in a few days. See ya.